This is rumor control. Here are the facts.
Hey everybody, here we are again, another video episode, and we just thought that we would come to you guys and kind of give you an update of what's been going on with us and sort of the announcements that have been happening or have not been happening. We want to kind of get right into it, and as always, it's me, your host, Jaime Prater, and my co-host.
Patrick, what's up, guys?
And
So you got back from a very special screening last week.
yes, I did,
And,
Monday,
and
a week ago.
We've seen some pictures from it. You've been kind of hinting at things, but why don't you walk us through? You got to attend a screening of Alien Resurrection with some very special VIPs in the audience.
Yep, it was the final screening, or I would say the final screening for the exhibit. It's the exhibit at USC, and we had Alex Ago on a few weeks back. We had a video episode with him, which was awesome and very impromptu, and he got to explain kind of the history of the exhibit and everything it kind of went through to be what it is today. They have been having screenings, and I knew about the screenings. We both knew about them, and I signed up to go see Resurrection, my least favorite of the.
It is your favorite of the films, so can't miss it.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I got there, and it's again, I think it was at the Frank Sinatra. It was at the Frank Sinatra Theater, and so we got there. I was there with some friends. Bryant Dillon, a friend of ours, one of the moderators at Building Better Worlds, he was there. It was great to hang out with him. A couple other friends of mine as well, who I've known for years and years and years. Fellow film geek, filmmaker. And when I got there, Alec Gillis was there, just talking to people, talking to fans. I got to connect with him after the show. And then, so we screened the film beautifully, a beautiful version of the film. I guess Darius Kanji did some type of thing to this, but I couldn't really tell. I mean, it looks like the Alien Resurrection that I know and have seen many times.
But he actually changed something with the edit in the cinematography of it.
I think it was just a special process. It was a special process that he put on this print specifically. It's not a special edit.
Was it related to his silver stuff, or is this
the EMT process? I would imagine so. Yeah, I don't know if he even does that anymore, just because everybody shoots on film or on digital. So.
On digital, but of course, Resurrection is on film stock, so
yeah.
You could go back and have done that. Cool.
It was a really great time, and at the end, and we'll show you guys a clip of this after this. Patrick and I discussed this a little bit, but I have about a 2-minute video clip of them walking out on stage, sitting down. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, Pitoff, his effects supervisor. Let's see, John Frizzle, John Frizzell, however you pronounce his name, did the score for it. I actually really appreciated the score a little bit more this time. It wasn't, I don't want to say as bad, because I never felt like the score was bad. I just felt like it wasn't worthy of Alien. But this time around, I was like, you know what? The score is better than I thought it was.
I have always thought very highly of that score. I think some of the themes really, really incredible.
Yeah, but the film did not hold up. It wasn't as much of a parody as it was before. But it was fun to be there with all of these people. It's funny seeing this film on the big screen again after many. I haven't seen this film. I haven't watched Resurrection in, 10 years or more. But watching it again, like, I had to put my head down. Like, there's cringeworthy moments in the film, but again, there's great moments. It's beautiful. Each frame is just beautiful to watch. Couple of scoops there in the show, or in the Q&A, as they were talking to Jean-Pierre Jeunet about the film and the writing and all of these things. He says at one point, for each scene, I looked for what kind of gag I could pull. And I was like, oh, I get it now. Like, that's kind of how he didn't talk about the story. He didn't talk about the rich history of Alien. It was really kind of, how can I make this film very French and very funny, And it was really a light bulb moment for me. Like, this wasn't ever going to be anything serious in his mind. He was kind of surprised that he got the gig. He went to it and he decided, how could I make anything funny in each scene and he rewrote like the ending, I think, and he helped to write a couple of scenes here and there. So it was interesting. It was very interesting.
I think Resurrection will always be a fascinating movie for that reason, because it's something you can't really write it off completely, because there are such gifted people who made it, who have done such great work elsewhere, and there are flashes of that greatness in Resurrection, but the tone of it is so wacky that it is almost impossible to know how to treat it as a movie. It's just like an anomaly. So I think that's why, we were talking earlier today about some of our issues with other films that have come out recently that have just been bad movies, And Resurrection is more complicated than that. It's something that even if you hate it, you almost can't write it off. And that's part of why I personally can't hate it, even though I have some issues with it. But anyway, so what were some other scoops that you heard there?
So one big, huge one, so Resurrection tends to kind of not just walk the line between sexual and sensual in terms of Giger's aesthetic. It's there. It's been there since the beginning. There's this kind of uncomfortable sexuality to the creature, the face hugger, all of those things. In this film, they decided to push it a little further. And Jean-Pierre was talking about kind of every week kind of doing something a little bit more. And he was talking to Sigourney Weaver like, well, what do we're going to push things a little farther. Are you comfortable with that? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'm comfortable with it. And so I guess one week after something they had shot the week before, I don't know if it was the Viper Pit, which is of course very sensual, erotic. Her arms are outspread like Jesus, and it's like this big vaginal opening. Whatever. It works for that film. But they wanted to push it even further, and this is with the newborn. And so Jean-Pierre Jeunet had an idea, and he asked if they needed to clear the set, and I think they did, but I can't quite remember. But Ripley proceeds to give the newborn a blowjob on that tongue.
Oh my God.
And
what is with this movie? Oh my God.
Yeah. So when I read that, and he was like, "Oh, that scene is somewhere in a box," I just realized this film was doomed from the beginning in terms of...
And they shot it. That's what's crazy is they actually shot that.
Yeah, like, I don't even know...
I have to say, huge props to Sigourney Weaver for, even trying that. It's so fucking out there. But she was obviously very, clued into the process and, very much a part of it.
She was. And yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not a fan of Joss Whedon. I do think The Avengers is a great film. But I've never been a fan of his. I don't think he's a good writer. I think he has great things like Toy Story. I think he's great in. I think that's an environment that he really kind of thrives in. But serious science fiction, nope, it's not for him. And this, again, just the writing and the characters of Resurrection were just screaming how they were just terrible. It was just one beat after the other. And I also realized too how many lines were regurgitated from Aliens, from Alien. Even there was a couple of music, like when Ripley's eating and Ren walks into the cafeteria or wherever they are, they start talking about where they got her, or maybe that's before. No, that's before, or that's after.
Are you talking about the fork fuck thing?
Yeah, but she's asking him where did you get me, and you can hear the music, and it sounds a little bit like Goldenthal's score, just a little bit. But there's a lot of retreads in Resurrection, a shit ton. But it made me think of Alien 3, and in some ways, and I thought this movie didn't retread anything. It was they did some homages or some kind of shades of things that we've seen before, but also very different. Yeah. And Resurrection was just this vomit of everything we'd seen before.
I mean, it's funny because the first big script that Alien 3 was going to be based on was already very divergent, the Gibson script, and then they basically scrapped that, and then you had Vincent Ward with this completely otherworldly vision that was unlike anything else that anybody even considered before, and then that was like a new template that they tried to rebuild the movie. So it started off with these two crazily different things, So I think you're absolutely right. Resurrection is a movie that I go back and forth on a lot in a lot of ways, and I think it's funny hearing you talk about it now, having seen it again and having heard some of the behind the scenes reasons why some of those creative decisions were made. It actually gives me new eyes to watch it with, and I'm kind of excited to try to watch it again as something a little more intentionally bizarre, not accidentally bizarre.
Oh yeah, it was intentionally bizarre for sure.
It was intentional, and I think if you look at it as whether or not looking, not as an Alien film and not as a successful movie per se, but if you look at it as a successful, like a successful extrapolation of that idea of just doing something with this completely offbeat sensibility, maybe it's more successful than we give it credit for. But anyway, so and you got to see Pitoff, which is crazy.
Yeah,
somebody that I think is dead all the time, but he's apparently not.
No, yeah, he actually directed that Catwoman abomination with.
No, didn't with Halle Berry.
He did. Yeah, he was the director of it.
Directed that?
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible,
That
wasn't
is
it?
that is the worst movie I've seen in theaters, other
Oh
than
yeah,
AVP.
yeah,
AVPR is the only
yeah.
one worse than that.
Final note before we just quickly discuss our
Yeah.
last portion of this episode. Um, I don't think people. It was kind of another aha moment. I've read this. I don't know if you had read it, but when Resurrection was being made, or before when it was in pre-production, Genet said that he started to look to see how big Hollywood budget films were made, and he
Right.
wanted to see how these kind of how they did these big things, and so he wanted to set up Resurrection in the same way. So he would go and look, how did they do this shot? And again, it was just another kind of moment for me. I was like, this film was never meant to be like Alien or Aliens or Alien 3. This film was meant to be almost exactly what it was. This kind of popcorn, weird,
Yeah.
crazy, offbeat parody. So
Right. But it was supposed to be, which is crazy.
yeah,
Like
which
that was
yeah,
actually what they were going
yeah,
for,
yeah.
which
I don't know
I think
what they
is
were
very
thinking.
interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. But all in all, great
Yeah.
time. Great to meet everyone. Great to kind of connect. Me and Alec Gillis talked for a minute. Just he didn't remember me, but whatever.
Oh, really?
No, he didn't. But he talks to so many people.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
So
Um,
the next
so
thing.
so yeah, well, so before we go to the clip, we wanted to kind of wrap with just a very brief conversation about the fact that Disney has announced their slate of films over the next few years, and I'm sure, like everyone else, we all read it with great avidity when it came out because there's some huge, huge bombshells in there. I'm surprised more people aren't even talking about it. Like we now have a timeline for the next iteration of what's going to happen with Star Wars. We know what's happening with the MCU now. There are very big things going on, but a noticeable absence from it was anything related to Alien. So there's been a lot of speculation about why, and a lot of people sort of panicking, thinking it means that they're not going to develop it. Other people being like, well, they just acquired the property. They're probably not even building it out yet. But I have to say, looking at the pipeline of projects that they have and how massive they are, including Pixar and including these other things too, um, it's just hard for me to conceptualize where Alien fits into it. Not to say that a company like Disney that is that massive couldn't figure it out, but they clearly have a lot going on right now, and maybe to me that signals that they are not going to rush this, and they're going to kind of wait and see where it's going to fit in.
I'm not really worried at all. In fact, most of these dates that they announced are winter dates for these films that already are in production or in way far development. Alien is not one of those franchises. Again, they have just acquired it. I think if they're going to release an Alien film, it's going to be in May. Most of those releases that they were talking about, those dates were in December or winter. Alien is not typically released at that point. It's either May or over the summer. And they're working on it. They're probably trying to find a strategy to figure out how do we make this series successful. So
Yeah.
there was a big clickbaity post or article kind of saying Disney unveils blah, 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 blah. It's bullshit. There's nothing to be worried about. Disney went on record saying we want to develop the Alien series more. We just got to wait.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be a summer date or a May date. Alien is not going to do the kind of business that Avatar or Star Wars is going to do. It's not even in the same league right now. Even if it's profitable, it's still not going to make the kind of money that those movies make or the MCU. So
It is crazy to think that also Avatar is on that list, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Like those, to think that they're planning that far out with these fucking enormous movies. Let alone things like the New Mutants, which I thought came out already, and I was like waiting for it. I was like, why is this fucking movie not out yet?
Yeah, well, that's weird because these are the last kind of films under Fox. Marvel's going to reboot all that stuff, so it's like Dark Phoenix, and it's just strange,
it's a weird time. There's a lot going on.
Oh no,
but
though there's nothing to be worried about. Like, don't give in to that one clickbaity article. That's unfortunately the people behind that. That's what they do. They put out clickbaity articles so people can get alarmed. And we had Dread Central or somebody sharing it. No, or it was, I don't know. Some Facebook page for sci-fi shared it, and everyone got all up in arms over it. I'm just like, dude, like there's nothing to worry about. We're good. We're fine.
Right. I mean, it would probably be more concerning to me if there had been an Alien film in that slate of announcements, because I would have been like, you guys just got the property. Like, why are you rushing into it and putting it into a production?
Why would you give a release date? Before you even have like a team in place, who's going to direct it? What is the story? Because really, that's what has to be talked about. What direction are these films going to go? what story are we going to tell? Are we done with the prequels? Are we done with Blomkamp? What's happening? So
and let's take the time and look at it. Totally.
Nothing to fear.
All right. Well, enjoy the clip, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Supervisor Pito. We have the composer John Frizzell and the miniatures creators and supervisors Ian Hunter and Matthew Gratzner.
A very cool movie from the director of Family. Oh my God.
Thank you all so much for being here tonight.
Very sweet.
And how amazing was that print, my God.
With the distance, with the distance, it's very gory. It's disgusting.
Well, let's talk about this new vision. Obviously, it took some time before Fox decided to bring another installment. And maybe Jean-Pierre, you and Alec can talk about getting involved and the idea, like, so what were the early ideas for how this series could move forward?
In fact, they wanted to hire Danny Boyle at the beginning, and he turned off. And when they called me, I couldn't imagine. They were very courageous. They hired a French director that didn't speak English at all. I understood the story when I received the DVD with subtitles. But and it was very courageous because, you know, I made just The City of Lost Children, Delicatessen, but, you know, it was special. And in fact, I made an arty movie. That's I read now, an arty movie. It's not an action movie, it's an arty movie. I replaced a lot of scenes. Action, for example, the nest, when Ripley falls on the nest, it was supposed to be an action scenes. And I changed everything. And they were very open. All my ideas were very open. They were very nice with me. And at this time, with Peter, if you remember, we thought, oh, we have a big pressure, they wanted some modification at the editing, but no, we were very free. We had the total freedom, almost like my own film.
Yeah, absolutely.